Hello and welcome to the Marketplace with me, Ibrahim Sani. Today we speak to Affin Hwang Asset Management on China's 19th Congress. Joining me on my right is Huang Juin Hao, the Senior Portfolio Manager of Affin Hwang Asset Management. Welcome to the show, Juin Hao. And of course, the question now is on all eyes on China. Everybody wants to understand the impact of the 19th Congress. Let's talk about the gravitas of the situation. How big of an impact this Congress will be?
This is a significant Congress for Xi Jinping because when he took power on the 18th Congress. And after that, he was supposed to carry out a series of reforms which have not been fully implemented due to anti-corruption crackdowns. And after cementing his power, we expect that this 19th Congress will see a significant leadership change where he will put in place his own leadership team in China. So the expectation for this Congress is that of the Politburo Standing Committee, which is the highest body of the leadership committee in the Communist Party. Out of the 7 members, 5 will be stepping down.
Okay, and this is because of the age retirement cap,
exactly,
which is set at 68.
It is not a hard limit. That retirement is by
more like a recommendation.
It's by form. It's not put in any writing. So the expectation, if that follows through, is that he and Li Keqiang will move forward, and subsequently there will be another 5 people, perhaps 5, maybe less, appointed to the Politburo Standing Committee.
Okay, hang on. So right now we have 7 Politburo seats. There are speculations right now that it might be reduced to 5, but we don't know yet. And of course, either it's 7 or 5, it still remains that Li Keqiang and Xi Jinping would be there anyway.
Yes.
So we're looking at 3 or 5 new people being appointed into that special Politburo seat.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on from there.
Okay, so what can we expect for this 19-party Congress? Now, typically, party congresses, being party meetings, they are a little bit opaque to the media, and we will only get information after the Congress. So this party Congress will take place on the 18th of October, and it will last for exactly 1 week. And post that week, we will get some information on what's the outcome of the Congress. So the things to expect that we should look forward to are whether Xi Jinping's thoughts, speeches are put into the party constitution, and also if they are named, if they are attributed to him, or they are just merely a principle.
Like a policy statement versus Xi Jinping stated that these are the policies being involved.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if they are named to him, then that is a very powerful signal that he has sufficient influence within the Communist Party. And if it's put as a guiding principle, then that becomes a very powerful statement as well.
What are the policies that we've got to keep an eye out for, possible ones?
Possible policies will be a resumption. Actually, typically these congresses do not involve any policy announcements, but they are more a reflection of the leadership change and who gets to then lead the country for the next 5 years. So what we should expect coming out from this 19-party Congress are one of 4 possible outcomes. Now, the first outcome is that Xi Jinping garners sufficient power and it becomes a winner-takes-all approach where he becomes sort of like the next Chairman Mao. The second outcome would be if he maintains a team of rivals approach to the Politburo Standing Committee. And the third outcome would be if he reduces the number of seats, thereby concentrating power to himself. And the fourth outcome, which is theorized by Dr. Li Peng of the Brookings Institute, is that possibly he could implement elections. So,
I'm sorry, general elections?
It's typically these leadership succession is done by a vote of influence, and there's a lot of back trading of influence that goes on. What is theorized is that possibly it could be institutionalized further, and elections could be done instead of the usual power broking behind the scenes that takes place. So we should expect that the Central Committee, which consists of about 370 members, about half of them will retire. So they will be replaced by the next generation of new members from the party, which consists of, I think, about Communist Party consists of 90 million members, and then they get concentrated into 3,000 members, which then elect
the new leadership
yes,
lineup. All right. Jun, we'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about the Chinese Party's Congress. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to The Marketplace. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Today, with me, I have Huang Juin Hao, the Senior Portfolio Manager of Affin Hwang Asset Management. When we left off, we spoke a little bit about the structure of the 19th Chinese Congress, and of course, there's plenty more to share. Yeah. Let's pick up where we left off. There are 4 key outcomes that you said that we have to look out for. Yes. What other areas do we need to observe?
Okay, so we need to see whether Xi Jinping appoints a successor. And typically, if he maintains the age of retirement at 68, that means his successor should be around about 58. So that the successor will have 1 term to be as part of the governing body, and then he will assume leadership. So we are looking for young members who will ascend to the Politburo Standing Committee below the age of 60, typically. That's the first thing that we should look out for. If there is no successor, that clearly points to the intention that Xi Jinping would want to stay for a 3rd term. Now, that has implications because in the Communist Party constitution, there is no term limit. But in the country's constitution, there's a limit of 2 terms for president. So therefore, if he intends to stay for a 3rd term, the implication could be that he will have to amend the country's constitution, and this will have long-term implications for the balance of power in China.
What would be some of the obstacles that he has to overcome if he indeed wants to change the country's constitution?
I think the chief obstacle will be upsetting the balance of power. Right now, within China, there's a number of factions, which is the Communist Youth League, or the Tuan Pai, the Princelings, also the leaders of the SOEs, and the elderly, the party elder factions. So he has to be sufficiently influential and powerful in order to gain enough strength to actually amend the constitution. And therefore, these are the things that we want to look out for going forward.
Do you know of some of the possible lineup that might be voted into the PSC, the Politburo, or is that, there's no way to tell?
Typically, members that move into the Politburo Standing Committee come from the 25-member Politburo. So it works this way. The 370 Central Committee members elect 25 Politburo members, who then elect 7 members to go into the Politburo Standing Committee. Now, coming back to what I was originally saying about of the 370, about half would retire, and of the 25-member Politburo, about 11 is expected to retire. So, if by convention it follows that a successor has to be selected from that 25-member committee, then it will be one of the remaining 14. But historically, appointments to the leadership have managed to jump several levels. So we could see Xi Jinping appoint a successor direct from the Central Committee instead of from the Politburo.
Okay, and of course, this does have a direct impact on the markets. How would the markets react to these kind of appointments and outcome coming from the Politburo meeting?
Typically, if we look from the past Politburo meetings, the market has been more driven by the greater macroeconomic conditions than from the meeting itself. And in fact, China and the Communist Party try to couch the leadership transition as a mere changing of guard, everything remains the same. However, we believe that this party transition will be more significant than the previous party transitions, because we expect that the measure of Xi's power going forward will point to how effective he can continue the reforms on SOE and the open market reforms that have been proposed in the original 18-party Congress when he took power.
There's an article on Malaysia Kini this morning that says that UMNO might be invited to speak at the Congress, one of the lesser forums. Is this a normal thing that the Politburo invites political parties from around the world to speak at these events?
Typically, these events are a close event to the party. And typically, there's a lot of backdoor negotiations that go on in the months leading up to the Congress. It would be quite unusual to have a political party from outside the country to come and discuss things over in one of the meetings in the Congress. And it may point to unfavorably to outside influence being demonstrated in the leadership.
Okay, and what are the key things that we need to look out for on the markets going forward?
I think going forward, we should be looking for the extent of Xi Jinping's power. If Xi Jinping manages to secure a lot of power for himself, then we should expect that the market will be more growth-focused, with the leadership will be more growth-focused. We should expect SOE reforms to continue. And given that I think China just came out with their PMI numbers, which were very favorable.
Yeah, it's very impressive, 52.4 in September, it was 51 point something in August.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so there would be some growth trends going forward for this.
So it points to the growth momentum continuing into the second half. So we are actually looking at China being one of the markets that actually surprise most industry expectations of growth. Given that the first half they already did 6.9, and most of the market expectation was around 6.5. So,
as the senior portfolio manager of Affin, what would be the key industries that you're looking at? What would be your stock picks?
We are actually very positive on China, and hence, therefore, we are overweight on the country.
Okay. We'll still have a lot more to discuss, perhaps in a different session, but that was it. That was Huang Juin Hao, Senior Portfolio Manager of Affin Hwang Asset Management. That's it for this episode of Marketplace. Send us all your feedback on our social media platform sites at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.